It's an exciting time to be alive, people, in the world of fantasy hockey. The NHL is getting very spicy, and it's time to tap into the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. We've got all the fantasy news, trade implications, and breakdowns on today's episode. Let's get right to it. Thank you for joining us.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back inside the lab, everybody. It is Flip and Steal of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. We have a jam-packed Tuesday edition for all of y'all out there, and thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Right now, every single day is major NHL news, fantasy trades, and otherwise across the board. And we have to break it all down on today's episode, Steele. Timo Meier has now joined the New Jersey Devils. This means major things for the rest of this division and any of those GMs out there trying to maybe make a move at Meier or who have Timo Meier already. Tanner Jeannot, he's on the way to the Tampa Bay Lightning. All of these moves majorly happening in the Eastern Conference. And then we have the Toronto Maple Leafs again, Steele, making another splash. My goodness me, there's a lot going on. And we have to take a look at all of it, I think, because there's some advantageous situations around your fantasy hockey leagues that maybe you can pounce on. Maybe you can capitalize on, because I think it's clear, Steele, the Eastern Conference teams are loading up. They're going to have to go through each other, and there's a lot of teams, good ones, that are going to be left on the outside looking in. We got big-time bets as well, but I'm going to stop right now, Steele. Get to it. Timo Meier, finally on the move. What's your take right now? We know what the San Jose Sharks had to do, but what does this mean for the rest of the Metro Division, the Eastern Conference, and, of course, the top six with the New Jersey Devils?
Yeah, the Eastern Conference teams are really taking over right now. Like, for me, throughout the 2010s, it was all Western Conference teams, and it was really the dynasty of the Western Conference. Now I'm seeing the next decade being a dynasty of the Eastern Conference teams. They're making so much moves right now. Timo Meier, one of the many deals that we've seen over the last 24 hours. Timo Meier, a guy who's got 31 goals, 52 points on the season, likes to shoot the puck, 255 shots, 112 hits, likes to be physical as well. At such a, in his prime right now, he does everything you could ask for. He's a powerhouse of a player, a lot of prospects, and, just like depth guys who've played just under 200 games in the NHL are getting sent to the New Jersey Devils as well. A 2024 fifth-round pick. So the Devils get their guy, and they also don't lose the guy, Dawson Mercer. That was the rumored name circling around this trade. San Jose Sharks get Andreas Johnsson, Shakir Mukhamadoolin. There, that's a hard one.
I think you did pretty good with that. That's a hard one, man.
Got it out. He's a 20th overall pick in 2020 as well. So the San Jose Sharks got a couple of young guys.
Fabbian Zetterlund as well.
Yeah, Fabbian Zetterlund, another prospect, 20 points in 45 games this year. So many draft picks as well. 2023 first round, a 2024 first round, conditional first round, and a 2024 seventh round pick. So Sharks get younger, they get prospects, they get picks, and the New Jersey Devils get the guy. That was really the guy that they were circling and have circled for the last month or so in Timo Meier. They pair him up with Jack Hughes. Love this trade for the Devils. And I think if you're a Devils fan, you can't be any happier with Tom Fitzgerald in the front office right now. The way the team is shaping up right now, the future is set in stone for this team. Like, you got Jack Hughes. He's locked in for 8 years. Nico Hischier, another 4. Palat, another 4. Hamilton, another 5. So I think the next guys in line, Timo Meier and Jesper Bratt, they're RFAs at the end of the season. They're going to get their pay. They're going to get their money. They're going to get paid. Those are the next two guys in line. And then I think looking at the team right now, again, the Devils have a lot of flexibility with their future. 8 RFAs at the end of the season and 6 UFAs. So very flexible. Those two guys are going to get paid first. And then this trade has put a ton of pressure on the rest of the Eastern Conference as well, the teams that are battling for a wild card spot.
There are about 8 things that I want to say after what you just brought up, because
It's so much to digest.
That's just how intense it is right now, and it has implications across the board when these teams are loading up like this deal. But first off, if you thought Timo Meier was valuable on a San Jose Sharks team, that he was getting it done with Logan Couture, Kevin LeBlanc, and otherwise LeBlanc, you know what I'm saying? He now has an opportunity to do something special with a lot of very good young players. Chemistry is chemistry, but you got to believe, after all the teams that were in the mix of this player, that the Devils actually went and got their guy, that they clearly believe he can mix right in with all of the talent they already have. And we've talked about it at length. That's number one. And number two, Steele, the rest of what's going on in this Eastern Conference is now becoming to the point where I cannot wait to see what happens on the ice. We got the Devils and the Rangers. They're going toe-to-toe. It's almost a fact now. You got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning obviously going to go through each other. And these teams are just loading up. And we're going to talk about Tanner Jeannot in a second. But honestly, the best part of what I like about the Timo Meier ad for the New Jersey Devils is they are almost telling their opponent in the first round, the New York Rangers, we got it too, and we got our guy as well. You mentioned it. Timo Meier's value, I think, if the chemistry is there, which I think it will be, now goes through the roof. Are you ready, though, to go over to this Tanner Jeannot situation? I thought you said he wasn't going to go, and now he's on the move. Tampa Bay, they get their guy, and now that bottom six, some of the best in the business.
Yeah, I do have one last thing to say about the Timo Meier trade. This to me as well, just looking at next year's fantasy league and fantasy draft season as well. Timo Meier and Jack Hughes become like borderline first round picks.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of looks.
Yeah, a lot of looks. They're probably going to be automatic second round, if not early third round picks. And then again, just elevates the fantasy value for guys like Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Dawson Mercer, Dougie Hamilton. So I'm going to be looking at the Devils a lot for next year's fantasy draft. And like you said, it also puts a ton of pressure on the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference.
May I interject though, Steele, because that's my bad. That was the last thing I wanted to bring up, and I need your take on this. Is that goaltending good enough? Because they're loaded up front, and I think that blue line is good enough. Is Vitek Vanacek good enough to take this team on a run? That's where my questions lie now.
I think it's quite possible. I think he's done enough this year to give a lot of people faith and a lot of people trust in his capabilities. Again, it is a big question mark because we haven't seen it before. And can he be realistically that number one guy for a long time? I think that's the same question mark with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Can Matt Murray or Ilya Samsonov be the guy? But look at how the team's playing right now. So these are two teams that, yes, for the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's been a long time coming. They've been in the playoffs and out of the first round so many years. For the Devils, we know that they were a young team. They know that it was taking a little bit longer to get the process and development going, as well as those two guys, Hughes and Hischier, just couldn't stay healthy. So now that the pieces have finally fallen in for them, I think they're at the same position. You got to put some trust and faith into the goaltending duos right now. And hopefully Vitek Vanacek is that guy. But again, that's another player that I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on for next season. But just to finish off on what you said about the other teams in the Eastern Conference, like the Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, New Jersey, New York, the Islanders, the Rangers, they've all made deals now to set them up for success in the postseason. The teams that are battling for a wild card spot should be really scared right now. The only team that I don't think it has any pressure on is the Carolina Hurricanes, because they've been doing the job without having to worry about that. Like, they went out and got Max Pacioretty. He wasn't even playing for the first half of the season. He comes in, like, they actually were losing games with him in the roster, in the lineup, and then he hurts his Achilles again, and they're still winning games. They've been at the top of the division for the entire season. So I don't think it puts any pressure on them, but the wild card teams, whoever has to face the Hurricanes or Boston, they should be worried right now.
And honestly, I'm probably going to love to say it. Performances from Seth Jarvis over the last couple of weeks have made maybe Carolina feel comfortable to just stand pat for now and see what unfolds at the deadline. Do I think they're still going to make a move? Yes, for sure, because of everything else going on around them. Man, Steele, there is so much going on in the NHL, and we are going to break a little bit more of it down. Tanner Jeannot heads to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Does that make them the team with the best bottom six in the NHL? We're going to break that down. We have to talk about what the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing as well. We're going to get there, and big time bets at the end of the episode. But I got to holler at you guys about our friends from Built, because today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. And if you're looking for that delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and the calories, you got to try a delicious Built Bar. And they're coming with that 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in all the good flavors: churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut, almond. And Steele and I, we're not sure still how Built does it, because they are so delicious, but they're nutritious as well. And it's all about those macros, baby. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And what you didn't get before online, you can now get in person. Built.com is still there. You can get the fire there, but head on down to Walmart or Sam's Club in person. That's right, the nearest Walmart today. Head to the pharmacy section and grab yourself a box of Built. You can pick up the 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to Sam's Club, that 13-bar box of deliciousness, it has the brownie batter, the churro. Pick it up. Thanks, Steele and I, later, and make sure you are checking out Built or Built.com for all of the latest delicious flavors of Built Bars, our favorite snack.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On favorite fantasy hockey podcast your first listen every single day. We are talking NHL trade deadline. The NHL trade deadline is this Friday, March 3rd. So join us live on Locked On NHL YouTube channel from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time as the Locked On NHL host from every single team down to the biggest deals. Break down the biggest deals from across the league. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. 3 trades went down. 3 major trades went down in the last 24 hours anyway. Last 48 hours maybe, but just finished up wrapping up.
Could be more too.
Timo Meier to the New Jersey Devils. Yes, could be some more coming. Definitely by Friday, March 3rd. Next trade on the agenda, Flynn. The Tampa Bay Lightning acquired Tanner Jeannot from the Nashville Predators in exchange for defenseman Cal Foote, a 2023 third, fourth, and fifth round pick, a 2024 second round pick, and a 2025 first round pick. This is the most lopsided boss move from David Poy of the Nashville Predators. He announces, "Hey guys, I'm hanging it up on June 31st, but right before that, I'm gonna ball out right now." This is the most ridiculous trade I've ever seen in a long time. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense for me from a Tampa Bay Lightning's perspective. I like Tanner Jeannot. I think he's one of those again depth guys that you can get late in any fantasy round, and he can help in different ways. Obviously, he's a Banger League's beauty. Decent amount of penalty minutes, 217 penalty minutes, 584 hits over the span of his career. But he's an undrafted 26-year-old, and you're exchanging like 5 picks and a defenseman in Cal Foote. It doesn't make sense to me.
I understand some of the takes I've heard about the Tampa Bay Lightning's depth and the ability to give up on a first-round draft pick like Cal Foote, saying that the Nick Perbix, I saw Nick Perbix have a big step forward this year, and they're saying, oh, maybe he's the same player that makes this prospect available. Look, I can even understand the hard sell if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan and go, we got another awesome bottom sixer. And it really does solidify that bottom six steal if you're thinking about what Tanner Jeannot brings at the top of his game. But we have a very small sample size from this player, and he has not been at the top of his game. And you've paid a very premium price to bring this player on. And hey, I get it. Hey, he had 20-plus goals last year, and he can bring the house down with a big hit or here, 2 or there. But it seems like a vast overpay, and it seems like a bit of a desperation move from the Tampa Bay Lightning after all of the moves made from the clubs around them. Could it pan out? Could we sound like idiots come the playoffs if Tanner Jeannot hangs like 2 or 3 goals on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first playoff series? I hope we don't go there, Steele, because We're about to talk about that Toronto Maple Leafs team, but I think you and I can both agree, straight up and down, from the first standpoint of just looking at this deal, Tampa Bay overpaid in a response to what's going on around them in the rest of this division and the conference.
And that's the thing. It is an overpay for sure. You can even go back to the Brandon Hagel and Nicholas Paul trades from last year. Like, it's debatable that the Brandon Hagel trade was a little bit of an overpay as well. But again, it worked out in their favor.
But
they went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
But Nick Paul, Ross Colton, Tanner Jeannot, pretty solid third line. That looks good on paper.
Yes.
That's probably where they're going with this. Tanner Jeannot at his peak, he runs through people and he scores a bunch of goals. I don't know, Steele. It seems like a bit of a reactionary move to me. I like what the Toronto Maple Leafs have continued to do with Kyle Dubas. We're going to get a talk about this situation with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hit me with your take on what you have seen from the Toronto Maple Leafs today.
Yeah, to your point about the Devils kind of seeing the Rangers trade and kind of, raising a little 20 bet back at
Ante up, baby. Ante up.
Ante up, a little Uno reverse card. The Leafs did the exact same thing to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, we obviously know the Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari trade happened about a week ago, but the Tampa Bay Lightning, like you said, they overpaid to get a gritty, physical guy, and the Leafs are like, okay, I'll see your bet and raise you. And I'll go out and get some physical, gritty guys as well. Jake McCabe brings that. Sam Lafferty can definitely bring that as well. A very speedy, physical guy who, to me, he's a hard worker. Sam Lafferty is one of those guys that I want to kind of compare to Zach Hyman or Michael Bunting, but without
a poor man, Zach Hyman.
Yeah, Zach Hyman, Michael Bunting without the finish. That's what I would call Sam
a poor
Lafferty.
Man.
Yeah. He's a hard worker though. He does all the dirty work in the corners. He penalty kills. He negates icings. He works hard, and that's what those players do.
Both guys 6'1" and bigger.
Yeah, Jake McCabe, a physical defenseman, 115 blocks, 118 hits. He puts his body on the line. He's a little bit of a puck mover now. We've seen that since playing with Seth Jones on the Blackhawks. So I really like this trade. I also really like what Kyle Dubas has done. Obviously they sent Joey Anderson and Pavel Gogolev and a conditional 2025 first round pick and a 2026 second round pick. But I love what Kyle Dubas has done with his team. Like I said before, he's taking his shot. He's taking his shot. He's trusting the two goalies, Murray and Samsonov. Again, he's taking his shot and trusting the process and making the deals that are necessary for the future and right now of the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not 2 years down the road. They got to go right now. It's all out or nothing. And I love the Kyle Dubas trades. Like, you can look back at a couple of trades and deals that he's made, and maybe a little bit of an overpay here or not a good deal there. But all things considered, he has worked his way to this point to get the Leafs in this situation to be okay. There's nothing else that we can establish ourselves than what we are right now. They've got their top 4 players and superstars in the world. They've addressed the bottom 6 group in every way possible. This is probably the best the bottom 6 has ever looked in a long time. They've addressed the defense over and over again. It sucks that Jake Muzzin is out and he's not going to be there, but that's why you go and get Jake McCabe that can fill that role that Jake Muzzin does. And again, you got to put faith in the two goalies that you went out and are taking a shot on in Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov. I think Samsonov's been the better goalie, but Kyle Dubas has set this team up and this organization up for success. Obviously, again, it's going to be a tough series because the top 6 teams in the NHL right now are all in the Eastern Conference. So no matter what happens, it's going to be a tough series against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but Kyle Dubas has done a fantastic job.
And the takeaways mainly for you fantasy cats out there, because we're getting we're rambling on here, but that's because of how hyped this situation is across the NHL. And honestly, there are the fantasy takeaways that have to be focused on. And when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, I just think that you got to jump on what is going to happen with this team. I think down the stretch, they're going to continue to crush the depth pieces now that slot in here. If you're looking for a fantasy injury fill-in in those keeper dynasty leagues, you got to be looking to these teams. And I think also, Steele, Tanner Jeannot going to the Tampa Bay Lightning, Timo Meier going to the New Jersey Devils. You got to tap into some of those pieces around them because honestly, Tanner Jeannot has been a disappointment this year.
Yeah.
But now he's going to get a really good look with a bunch of really good players. I mentioned that third line he'll be a piece of in Tampa Bay. Keep your eye on them because obviously this isn't rocket science, people. They're going to winning teams. All three of those players we just mentioned, 4 of them even going from losers to winners, that has major impacts. We have obviously big time bets to get to, but Steele, over these next couple of days, you're going to want to be tuned in, tapped into the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast because the trade deadline, they're getting it all done ahead of it. These next 2 days are going to be jam-packed with fantasy implications, and you and I are just getting warmed up, pal, because you know this is our favorite time of year.
Jam-packed, so much is going to happen as well. I don't even know. The Stanley Cup for me is up in the air right now. I don't know which team is going to win it.
We might need an updated Cup odds best bets episode.
We might need an updated Stanley Cup odds episode. I could not pick a team right now on which I think is going to win this year. All the teams have gotten better, especially the Eastern Conference team.
Yes.
We're going to get to big time bets where the money is made, but this episode is also brought to you by Athletic Greens. We have a fantastic product, AG1. I started taking AG1 I say this every time, want more energy in the morning throughout the days, and I hate taking pills and vitamins. And I wanted to see what all the hype was about. This has been going on for a year now. I wanted to see what all the hype was. And with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics. And you don't have to take the disgusting pills and vitamins. It's the best way to start your day. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy recovery, focus, and aging. So much it does. Athletic Greens was also created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a very complimented supplement routine to recover from it, which was costing him over $100 a day. That's just way too expensive. Athletic Greens is the right price for you. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. I like to take it in the morning. And again, there's no need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. One more time for you guys out there. That is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. We appreciate all the love, all the support. Make sure you hit the sub button, hit the follow button, and leave the comments down below on the YouTube channel. We appreciate all the feedback and all of your opinions out there as well. Let us know your thoughts on these trades. The Timo Meier to the Devils, Sam Lafferty, Jake McCabe to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Tanner Jeannot going to the Tampa Bay Lightning from the Nashville Predators. Flip, big time bets, where the money is made. Where are you looking at for Tuesday's board?
Making a couple of last minute bets right here, my friend Steele, because
that's what we do.
Sometimes you just have to jump in and take advantage of some of these situations, and that's what I'm looking at with this Tuesday board. Because look, down the stretch here, things are going to shape up nicely for yourself if you've been paying attention to what some of these teams are doing, and it's not rocket science. Pretenders are going to separate themselves from contenders by playing poorly, and the opposite conversely. And I'm going to just stop right now, and I'm going to head to this Penguins versus Predators situation. And say what you will about the Pittsburgh Penguins, they have a lot more to play for than the Nashville Predators, and we've seen it by the Predators selling off. David Poile is moving on after a long time. Steele, I just don't like what's going on with this Nashville team, and I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins are in the position to really make a ton of noise in the playoffs. I don't even know if they're going to make any moves, but I will say this. I'm going to bet them right now down the stretch, especially against teams like the Nashville Predators, who not only have struggled against the Penguins of late. Penguins have points in 8 of 10 games, including 7 wins out of 10 against the Nashville Predators. The Predators just seem to be giving up on the season. Penguins on the money line. That's my first bet, Steele. And if you don't mind, because my second pick is from the same game, Sidney Crosby. Let me just look this up now. In 19 games career played against the Nashville Predators, my boy has 19 assists. I love the Sid anytime assist, and he has been picking up points over his last couple of games. Give me the Penguins and give me Sid. This isn't rocket science, Steele. That is a nice little combination against what I think is a tough spot for Nashville. They seem to be giving up on the season.
You know what? This might be a nice little time for a side bet because my first pick, actually, I'm taking the Predators on the money line here. They're at home, baby. They're at home, aren't they? I believe
they are at home, but the Penguins have points in 8 of the 10. I don't see it here, Steele, but please go ahead.
Little side bet, actually. I'm going to take the Predators at home on the money line. It's a gut feeling for me. This one is not a gut feeling, though. My second pick, actually, I'm going to make it my lock of the night. That's how confident I am with this pick. I'm going to take the Wild and Islanders under 5.5 goals.
Yes.
I think that is, to me, by far the easy choice in this situation.
5.5 is worrisome a little bit, but I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, under 5.5 goals. 7 of the last 8 games for the Minnesota Wild have been under the number. So often, actually, I'm pretty sure it's been under 3.5 goals in majority of those games as well. So been some very low scoring games for the Minnesota Wild lately, as well as we already know the New York Islanders are a very stingy defensive team. So I'm going to actually make that the lock of the night. And my last pick, I'm going to take the Kraken on the money line against the St. Louis Blues. Kraken have been sliding a little bit, and what perfect way to turn things around against the roller coaster of a season for the St. Louis Blues. So those are my 3 picks for Tuesday night.
I like that we're keeping it simple on this Tuesday night board, Steele, because the other thing about this stretch of the schedule, it can be volatile on some of those sleeper games. A lot of look-ahead situations for some of these teams in contention for playoff spots. They might overlook some of these bottom feeders, so make sure you capitalize on those spots. But I'm looking at this Florida Panthers Tampa Bay Lightning game, and the Lightning have just made one of their moves. This is going to inject some energy into their lineup. They're at home, one of the best teams in the NHL at home, Steele. And that it's honestly, it's not even close. The Tampa Bay Lightning are 22-4-3 at home this season, and they've done historic things with that record. And when you look at the Florida Panthers, they're 1-2 in their last 3 games. But that one win was a 4-3 squeaker against the Anaheim Ducks, and the other 2 were ugly losses against the Buffalo Sabres and the Nashville Predators, a.k.a. they're not playing good again. The Spencer Knight situation, you and I haven't touched on it. You never want to see a guy struggle with personal or off-ice matters ever, but brings a little bit of a cloud to the team that was starting to pick up a bit of steam. This isn't one of those spots that you want to miss. Tampa Bay Lightning at home against the Florida Panthers. My lock of the night, -165. To me, this should be -200 or more, because I think with this little addition of Tanner Jeannot, another boost. Is it enough to go against the teams in the division? I don't know. Tampa Bay is going to steamroll the Florida Panthers tonight. My lock of the night. I should have done the puck line, how much I've talked them up, Steele. But let's hammer that one. Florida going to get banged out tonight.
I'll say this to wrap it up. The fate of the Florida Panthers season is now in Sergei Bobrovsky's hands. He needs to step up to the plate. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing either, but we'll see Tuesday night. We will see the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out Game to Game. Every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On hosts can deliver. Thank you so much again for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.